Welcome back to the channel, and today is a very exciting day because we got the brand new Eleveight gear in our shop. We're going to be showcasing the RS Pro and the CS auto control bar. First we're going to dive into the features of the brand new RS Pro, what the key features are and what this kite makes it stand out, and then we're going to go out on the water and see how this kite is really like. So let's not waste any time and jump right in. So just launched the RS Pro, so we're going to try the pivot. First knot. This kite is freaking solid, man.
Sous-titres français dans cette vidéo.
So when pumping up the RS Pro right out of the bag, you can already see that they did not hold back using the highest quality and manufacturing products on this kite. This RS Pro from Eleveight is one of the most high-performing kites in their lineup, and we've seen the Alula Gold material on the leading edge, which we also seen on other kite manufacturers. Eleveight makes the kite very durable, which is thanks to the 4x4 ripstop and the 6x6 ripstop reinforcement which we've seen all over the kite. So compared to, for example, 2x2 ripstop with the 4x4 ripstop, is the 4x4 ripstop is a little bit heavier, but also a little bit more durable, which is beneficial for the long-term use of this kite. What this kite makes it stand out from the other Alula 3-strut kites is that the RS Pro does not have Alula struts. The struts on the RS Pro are made from XT light material and should allow the kite to twist a little bit better, resulting in faster turns. So this construction shows that Eleveight is not aiming for the absolute lightness of a kite, but also focusing on the durability, which is a very good key point of this kite. This kite uses a 5-point pulley-less bridle setup, which is relatively short if you compare to other brands, which is also beneficial for when pumping up your kite so that your bridle does not get tangled around your wingtip. It also features a bridle adjustment option, allowing you to switch between 3 options. The first option is the pivot option, allowing the kite to be a little bit quicker and also gives you a little bit more D-power. Then you have the standard option, which combines the best of both worlds. And the third option, which is the tip option, which likes to give you a little bit more low end and a more radical loop because the kite is a fraction slower. So a good kite also needs a good control system. That's why we're going to talk about the CS Auto Bar right now. So this bar is equipped with the best lines on the market, featuring 22 meters of SK99 lines as standard. So this bar also features seatbelt style click-in chicken loop, which is very simple and efficient to click in. So you reload it and click it in, off you go. So as the name of the bar already says, it's a CA auto system, which auto reference to the auto swivel, which automatically untwists the front lines and makes it very easy on the water to do your front, back rolls, kite loops, and then twist the bar without twisting your front lines. So all Eleveight kites features a low V system, which is also on this bar, of course, and it has a very simple above the bar trim, which is simple and always works. So enough tech talking, let's hit the water and fly. So yeah, before we go out on the water, we're going to first ride the kite on the beach and try the different bridle setting to see how it feels. And afterwards we're going to go out on the water, so stay tuned. So we forgot to mention that the kite also has 2 trimming options on the back lines and also 2 knots on the bridle, so you can tune your kite wherever you like it. Top the bar, fucking. So just launched the RS Pro. The wind is about 20 to 23 knots. And this kite is freaking solid, man. I really love it when I first launched it. I like kites with a little bit more like steering and feeling in the bar and still forgiving. So this is like the perfect blend. So definitely one of my personal favorites, which I did not expect. So what I really like about this kite is that the D-power management is very big. Almost feels like a pulleyed bridle, but it is a pulley-less bridle. When I do this, the kite is like has no power, and when I pull it towards me, it generates very nice power until here. So some kites generate a little bit more power here, but this is just like perfect. And also I can imagine that I can hold this kite with 35 knots easy because you have so much D-power within the bar. So the kite already feels really good with the standard bridle setup. So we're gonna try out the pivot one, which is a little bit quicker. So yeah, let's see. First loop. So we just tried the pivot knot. the last knot on the bridle, and you can immediately feel some difference, actually quite a lot. The bar stroke is a little bit less, so the power is less when you pull the bar towards you, and the D-power is even more. So you feel a little bit less feedback on the bar, but the kite definitely tends to steer quite quicker. This adjustment is great for people that want to try out bigger kite loops that don't get punished that fast. So I would say this is like the most forgiving option on the bridle, which is cool, that you can also like progress with the kite. So if you want a little bit more easy and quick loops, you can opt for the first knot, and if you want a little bit more extreme, you could go like a knot further, so one step further, and then you have a little bit more pressure, a little bit less forgiving. Yeah, all in all, a good feature. So I also feel like when the kite is on the first knot, it has a little bit more potential to go upwind, so deeper into the wind window, and then you can hold it a little bit longer. If I would ride this kite now in 35 knots and I didn't have smaller than a 9, and I'm quite light, I think I would go with the first knot, so I can hold it like very easy. I'm standing right now, I don't nearly have any power in the kite. When I'm pulling it, I can jump. So we're gonna change up and fly the kite on the water, of course, and we're gonna start on the standard setting, and afterwards maybe change it, see how it goes. So unfortunately the wind died a little bit and we don't have enough power to go on with filming. So we go back to the store, tell you all about it. We're back on the beach. We're gonna give the RS Pro another round. This time in a little bit more wind. I'm gonna be on the 9 meter. It's gonna be around 30 knots. So big boosting guaranteed. We're back here now in the shop to tell you everything about our last 2 sessions with the Eleveight RS Pro. So after the beach test, the wind unfortunately dropped a little bit. So it was only about 16 knots and I was riding the 9 meter. But I could still manage to ride upwind easily and yeah, still had a good session anyway. Even though the wind was light, about 16 to 18 knots, I still managed to pull some kite loops anyway, which kind of impressed me. The kite was not like crazy fast, but still very responsive and you feel where the kite is. I was using the standard setting and the kite was responsive but not overly responsive, so I could control the kite, but that mainly also has to do with the light wind conditions. After half an hour we decided to call it a day and wait for some stronger winds to also properly test this kite in some yeah, strong wind conditions. We were lucky to get 30-35 knots a couple of days after, so we're going to switch to that session now. When we arrived at the beach, we had 30-35 knots and the wind was shifting from south to southwest. The transition of south to southwest here is sometimes a little bit gusty, but we thought that it was a good plan to already go out and test the capabilities of this kite also in some gusty winds. So I started right away with trying some kite loops. Because the wind was strong enough to do some proper loops now. I had to get a little bit adjusted to the kite on the first hand because I didn't have the feeling that the kite was climbing up very rapidly. So when I initially pulled the bar, it felt like the kite was like not accelerating very fast, but after a quarter of the loop, the kite still accelerates good enough to catch you. But the first time I had to get a little bit adapted to that. So now to the pull of the kite during kite loops. The pull is a little bit stronger or more solid on the bar than you might expect from kites in this Alula category, but still controllable in high wind speed conditions. So like we did on the beach as well, we tried the pivot setting on the bridle to see if the kite is also quicker on the water as it was on the beach, which indeed was the case. The bar pressure on the kite changes a bit as well, so the loop compared to the pivot setting and the standard setting is a little bit tighter and the pressure is a little bit easier. So if you want a little bit more easier loops with not a lot of pull, you could try the pivot setting and ride that as a standard, for example. I could also imagine if you want to try kite loop board offs, the pivot setting is also the setting that you want to try then. So the upwind capabilities were great, and now in the high end it was very good thanks to the Alula. You could also feel that the kite has a pulley-less bridle, which keeps its shape very good. Especially in this south wind gusts, you need a kite that is solid to also get your takeoff perfect. So the boost of the RS Pro is good, not the crazy boost like you have on some other 5-strut boosting kites. This kite is a little bit more all-round, so if you want to try some loops and other disciplines, this kite would be the best option. Also good to know, the bar of Eleveight, the CS Auto bar, is a great combination with the Eleveight kite. Very good bar kite combination, which is, in my opinion, is very important. All in all, I really enjoyed riding this Eleveight kite. We have never ridden or reviewed an Eleveight kite before, so I was very curious to find out how this kite would ride. It actually exceeded my expectations, which is always a very good thing. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you want more information about this kite, scan the QR code here. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next one. Ciao.